travel a bit more than I do currently. Putting a little bit away here and there, trying to save not only with my pension, but trying to invest in sort of a balanced portfolio with some other extra monies that I put aside each month.
When we return, we will hear from someone who is at the retirement age.
I say something.
Is that me?
Yeah, say something.
Check one, check one.
Joining me now is to my left, Mrs. Mary Jo Caesar, COO of Colonial Pension Services Limited. And on the other side of Larry, we have Mrs. Laurie Daniels. And we are going to basically continue our second segment. We're going to take questions from our viewers. And you're the rose between two thorns, Larry?
Well, I'm quite liking this.
But first, we're going to hear from a retiree.
Do I have a pension plan? Yes, I do. The idea was I was taught at a young age, if you want to have a pension plan and a comfortable life at the age that I'm at now, I had to have a plan when I was younger. I was taught that by my father, and I followed through. I listened to him. When do I plan to retire? I retired 13 years ago. You got to start saving now. I don't care how much you work for, even if it's just $100. Take a couple of dollars out of that, put it aside, don't touch it. Let it grow.
And welcome back, panel. How are you this evening?
We're good, Connie. Thank
you. You're good. You're back from last week. We have some questions. Folks were stopping me. Did you get feedback, Mary Jo?
Oh, lots of feedback.
Yes? Good, good. Now, one of the questions was what happens if Colonial Pension Services Limited goes belly up? We understand that this has happened to many persons in the community in the past, and persons are investing their hard-earned dollars with a private pension provider, How can you reassure folks that this is the right decision to make?
I think you're referring to what transpired fairly recently in Bermuda.
Yes.
Let me say that this was an insurance company. Pension, it's a little different, particularly the way that Colonial has set up its pension relationship. It's a trusted relationship. We have a trustee. All pension assets are completely segregated from the working capital of Colonial. And if something were to happen to Colonial, those assets are there with the trustee, and the only person who would have access to those assets would be the beneficiaries, the members and their beneficiaries.
Okay.
So it's quite watertight.
Connie, it's important to say that
Reassure me, Larry.
even the individual investments, let's say one of the investments might be a government bond that's held in one of our options. That actual investment is actually held in the name of the Colonial Pioneer Fund, which is our investment vehicle, and not in the name of Colonial Pension Services or Colonial Group International. What that means is that if something were to happen to us, these are totally segregated from our working capital, totally segregated from our balance sheet, and our creditors cannot try to attach these funds we're holding on behalf of our our pension members.
Okay. I just want to let our viewers know that the phone lines are open. The number to call is 295-2828. You have anything to add to that, Ms. Laurie?
I think that Mary Jo and Larry gave the answer already, and I don't have any more to add. People should be assured that the funds are not commingled with Colonials, and they're segregated and secure.
Okay. The second question that I had was, does the employer get reimbursed for their portion that they have invested if an employee does not meet the lock-in period?
Okay, I think what you're asking, if a member is not vested or they have not been employed with the employer or in the pension plan for the required vesting period,
Yes.
which by law is 2 years, does the employer receive back the funds that they put in on behalf of the member? And the answer is yes. If a member leaves employment for whatever reason, terminates employment, and they are not vested, they are only entitled to the portion of the funds that they, the member, put in, not the employer's portion. They must be there for the full vesting period
Hold the line, please,
in order
caller.
to be entitled to the employer's portion.
Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah. Is this pension fund any with Colonial?
Yes, sir.
Is it any with Colonial?
Yes, sir. We're only asking or answering questions that are directly related to the private pension provider, which is Colonial Pension Services Limited.
I'll be 65 in a couple years' time. So I just want to commend the buddy.
But then that would perhaps be, you would have to call government for that?
Call government for that?
Yes.
Call government for that. Where's this too? You talk about mom.
295-5151?
955151.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, caller. Okay, and so Larry, we're going to go back to you, and we have just a few more questions we want to ask. What are some of the biggest risks facing retirees from an investment standpoint?
Sure. Basically, there are a whole host of risks that they face. Let me just talk about some very quickly. The first of which is what you call longevity risk. That's outliving your money. Then you have inflation risk, where you did save some money, but it's not enough because of you've lost purchasing power due to inflation. Then, of course, you have market risk that the market's going to go up or down. And what I want to say, that last segment with that retiree, which was very inspiring because clearly you had somebody who would plan well, and she is atypical. Most people do not plan as well as that last person who was in that last segment. So, I mean, that was very powerful.
And we're just reminding our viewers that the phone lines are open, and the number to call is 295-2828. So what is this thing that they refer to as the sandwich generation? We have Generation X, we have Generation Y, now the sandwich generation, Larry?
That probably could be us. So listen up carefully.
I've already spoken to Karen about my retirement coaching me in retirement. I'm a boomer.
No, the sandwich generation, it's a growing phenomenon, and that's a situation where you have people who are near to retirement within,
Yes.
10 years or less, typically, where they now have to assume the responsibility for the care for their um, elderly parents, while at the same time trying to put um, their kids through university. So you really sandwich in the middle where the financial pressures from all ends,
Yes.
and that's why planning is so important. Laurie, what would you think?
Larry, exactly. The sandwich generation is someone like me. I have an elderly mother who is retired, and I have young children who still have not gone through school yet. So someone like me will be in the middle. It's the people in the middle. Fortunately, my mother has planned well for her retirement, and she's quite independent, but not everyone is in the same position as I am.
Yes.
And I want to say that on Saturday at our pension open house, you'll hear more about this type of thing, about retiring and what to do. Larry will be there, as well as Karen, who you saw earlier, will be there as well, as one of the speakers talking about retirement planning and financial considerations as well.
And so what are some of the draws? How are you going to draw people to this event on Saturday, Laurie? Because, Saturday, you're saying from 3 until, but you have giveaways and you have all kinds of other
Exactly.
things.
We have, well, Connie, we think that we have sufficient expertise. We're going to be having someone talking about wealth building, someone from Capital G. We have Larry, who will be talking about investment strategies, and Karen, who will be giving a workshop on planning for retirement. We're also giving away, as you said, we have giveaways all through the night. We'll have entertainment. The Ming Mambo salsa team will be there. We're giving away an iPad 3.
Wow.
And we think that people will want to come just for the chance to win that. I know I would.
That new iPad?
That's the brand new
one?
hot from hot off the presses. So we want to encourage people to come out on Saturday. It'll be time well spent. It does start at 3, and from 3 to 6 we will have our guest speakers such as Larry, Karen, and we also have Robin Peters from Capital G. And then we will be having an after party with lots of entertainment.
Okay. Just reminding our viewers once again, the phone lines are open. The number to call is 295-2828. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good evening. I would like to know if I put in additional voluntary contribution, do I have to have the same mixture for all my mandatory and voluntary profiles?
Mary Jo?
At Colonial, no. You have a choice. Each of your contribution sources could be invested in a different profile. So contribution source is your employer contribution, your contribution, your voluntary contribution, or if you had pension plan before and you moved on to Colonial, you could also invest your rollover contribution, which is what you would have brought on from your previous employer's pension plan. You could have that invested in a different profile as well.
Do you have anything to add to that, Larry?
No, there again, it speaks to the flexibility of our platform and the flexibility of our offering. We at Colonial, we've put a lot of effort in deciding what it is we make available to our members. And I think that's really a significant differentiating factor for us.